Okay, hi everybody. Thank you so much for inviting me here today to join in this workshop on creating new healthcare facilities. It's really exciting to be able to share with you an ongoing project that we are undertaking in the east of Uganda, and a real privilege to be able to have the opportunity to discuss it with yourselves and with Dr. Imelda Bates about how we can make this into an implementation science project. So Mbali is in the east of Uganda. It's located in the foothills of Mount Elgon, and we serve a population of around 4.5 million people. We have around 10,000 deliveries a year, and in addition, we also accept admissions from home, from healthcare facilities, and private clinics into the neonatal unit. But until 2014, we had no dedicated staff and no dedicated neonatal unit within the hospital. And as with many settings like ours, those neonates were looked after in the pediatric ward alongside older children suffering from pneumonia and diarrhea. So many of you will have attended my earlier presentation, but just in brief, in 2014, when we began this project, we started collecting data on neonatal admissions. And we were all really shocked to find that in the first month of data collection, we had 110 admissions and a 52% mortality. So following stakeholders' meetings, we implemented a 12-step neonatal care model, and we implemented it in 2 stages due to logistical and financial constraints. And what we saw that with the basic changes of hand washing, education and training of staff, and the involvement of mothers in the care of their neonates, we were able to reduce in that level 1 care the neonatal mortality down to 40%. And when we were lucky enough to open the neonatal unit and have dedicated staff, improved infection control, and some appropriate technology, we were able to reduce that neonatal mortality further still to 20%. Later on, we were able to create a high dependency unit within the neonatal unit where we had 6 cots with bubble CPAP. And primarily these bubble CPAP machines served their prematures, and we saw a huge improvement in preterm outcome. So in our retrospective analysis of their outcomes, we actually found a 44% reduction in those preterm deaths. We've now got 6 machines, and since this time we also have backup power, which means those machines never go off, and those 6 HDU cots also have continuous monitoring. So over time, our neonatal mortalities dropped from that 48% in the initial period where we had no intervention, and now has an average of 13% for the neonatal inpatient mortality. However, during that same time period, our number of admissions have gone from around 100 to 110 a month, all the way up to 240, even 250 admissions a month. So our tiny neonatal unit that we designed for 10 babies and their mothers now has up to 50 babies at any one time, together with the doctors, the nurses, and any of the other staff who are around. It really makes it a challenge with hospital-acquired infections, especially for the small ones, and also doesn't allow us to practice our Mbali mother-centered model with the continuous input from the mothers, leave alone continuous kangaroo mother care. Here you can see in the bottom right, some of our mothers practicing intermittent kangaroo whilst perched on little stools next to their prematures who are on bubble CPAP. So our situation now is far from ideal. However, we believe that this clinical model can easily be replicated and have a very similar impact in settings like ours. We would also really like to create a formal training program for people to come to Mbali and learn about this clinical care pathway. But at present, we are unable to do that because we just don't have the space to provide adequate bedside teaching and practical training. So we partnered with HKS, an international architectural firm who have extensive experience in designing hospitals in various settings. And we involved very many of the stakeholders, interviews with the mothers, the families, the nursing staff, the doctors, as well as local district officials. And we came up with some key aims of what this new neonatal centre of excellence should be. We wanted to support our proven clinical model of neonatal care, but we also wanted it to be affordable so that this could be replicated in other similar settings for minimal cost. We wanted it to be sustainable, particularly in terms of electricity and water, and we wanted to be able to reduce those hospital-acquired infections for the babies within the unit. We wanted to maintain the temperature, but our air circulation is horrific, and we really wanted to improve that with the hope that that would also reduce hospital-acquired infections. And key to the success of our model has been the Mbali mother-centered model, where the mothers are there all the time to monitor their children, breastfeed, provide express breast milk, measure their temperatures. So we really needed to create space for the mothers to come back into the ward. And we also wanted to improve the quality of their life. And finally, as I previously mentioned, we wanted to create space so that our Centre of Excellence could facilitate training for other healthcare workers from other regions across Uganda. So this map shows you the location of Mbali Regional Referral Hospital in that pale green area. And at the back here, you can see the current site of the neonatal unit, right adjacent to the postnatal ward and in really close proximity to labour ward and to labour ward theatres. The dark green area is our plot of land where we will build the neonatal unit. So not only does it maintain that close proximity to those areas, but it also lies, as you can see in the top right photo, right next to the road to facilitate those infants coming from other facilities or other clinics directly into the neonatal unit. Each wing of the ward has plenty of space to allow space between the mothers and the babies, but also allow the mothers to sleep within the ward to provide that Mbali mother-centered model. Aged care is really focused on the environmental elements of the design, and this slide here shows you some of those key features. You can see here the sloping roof to facilitate rainwater harvesting. You can also see the large surface area of the roof where we can place solar panels to help generate energy for the neonatal unit. The central area of the roof is elevated to help with the air circulation within the ward, and also a lot of windows to make it light and airy for those people who are working within the neonatal unit. The shape of the neonatal unit may look unusual, but it is built like that on purpose. In our setting, it's very common to have maybe only one or two staff to cover the entire ward. So if you look on that left picture, you can see the blue and the red spots on that slide. And those two nurses together have got 100% visibility of all 52 cots within the neonatal unit. There are many functions that we considered in the design of the neonatal unit, but just to take you through a key one here, and that's the entrance of the neonatal unit, which is one entrance only, so that we can really focus on infection control at entry. There's an area for the mothers to lock away their belongings so that they don't need to bring them into the neonatal unit. And after that, they pass through an area specifically for removing their outside garments and putting on their ward gown. And lastly, they pass through a hand washing area. And all of these areas face directly onto the nurse's station so that we can keep a close eye on those people who are entering into the neonatal unit. As one might expect, many of our mothers stay on the neonatal unit for a very long period of time, especially those who have prematures, whilst they wait for their babies to grow and they learn how to look after those babies at home. So what we've designed here is an outside courtyard area for the mothers and for their families, hopefully to allow them to relax a little and to improve their mental well-being. And as you saw in the earlier slide, we have 3 separate wings to the ward, and this will allow us to segregate the neonates slightly. So those prematures who don't necessarily have infections but are at high risk of acquiring infections can be kept separate from those neonates who are coming to us specifically with infections. It will also allow us to focus care like oxygen therapy to certain areas of the ward, and we can keep the high dependency unit entirely separate from the rest of the ward. So these are 2 images of what we hope the neonatal unit will look like in a year or 2 from now. And I look forward to discussing with you all now how we can make this into an implementation science project. Thank you.